And I find it so fascinating because there's a certain and I really wanted to ask you about this because there's a certain something that applies to bare knuckle fighting that just it's like there's a pain and there's a danger and there's a wildness of it that even some very great fighters, they get to a certain, they're in there and they're like, I don't like this. Right. They're too used to gloves. They're too used to whatever they're used to. They don't want that experience once they find it, once they're in there. But you seem to thrive on it.
You know, it's just a real fight to me. Even though, I mean, I still go to the gym and I do MMA with the guys. Like, I love boxing so much though. It's my forte. It's like what I'm good at. 'Cause I'm cool to take a punch, get hit. That's fine. I'll take a hit to land a better one on you. And in bare knuckle, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to fight guys who, I mean, I did fight Julian Lane, who had experience in it.
Yeah.
He had 9 fights in it
Yeah.
when we fought. And then I fought 2 guys who hadn't done it yet. So, you know.
But it's just like let's talk about those 2 guys. Like, first of all, Michael Venom Page. That guy is super talented.
Yeah.
I mean, he's extraordinary. When you watch him fight in MMA, and he's a guy that I kind of predicted one day. I was like, the one skill that you don't see a lot of in MMA is this crazy blitz point fighting style, because those guys can cover crazy distances. Those really good point fighters, and he was a really good point fighter, and he was the first guy that kind of showed how that style could apply in MMA. He's so elusive and so hard to hit. And, you just put it on him.
Well, it was different, you know.
It's different.
It was boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, he beat a couple guys boxing.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, because he's good MMA. After I beat him, I thought, you know, maybe they'll try to make that fight happen in MMA now, but I do feel like I would overpower him grappling-wise. But his legs are very dangerous. I mean, that last guy he fought, he kicked him in the leg and it was over.
Yeah, he's very dangerous. The knockout of Cyborg was fucking crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
The poking ball. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, he caved his forehead in.
With his legs, that's what I'm saying. His legs are dangerous.
Incredible.
It's interesting to me to want, you know. I'm hungry for fights. I want to fight all these motherfuckers.
Well, I think with a guy like that, it's funny. I was watching Stylebender was on Andrew Schultz's podcast, and they were talking about him boxing some days. Like, boxing is too limited. It's too limited to fight. You think about a guy like him who applies this full, wild range of things, especially with Michael Venom Page, because he's so good at closing distance and kicking you and kneeing you. And the timing of that knee, I mean, magnificent, right?
Yeah.
And when you take all that away and you only have these, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a gigantic difference.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
But I had the same difference, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Fits me. I mean, I did boxing. I had 1 pro boxing match. I'm still 0-1 as a professional boxer. But then I did that Triller thing in the triangle, and I fought Michael Seals, who was 27-3, in a mixed boxing match with turtleback MMA gloves. And, I won. I mean, I just put the pressure on him the whole time.
What are turtleback MMA gloves?
Turtleback are like the training MMA gloves.
Oh, okay.
But it was like while Metallica was playing. Oh yeah, here it is.
Oh, so they're like kind of big MMA gloves.
He was 27-3 as a professional boxer. He drops me like once. They counted it once. He dropped me. Another time I got hit in the back of the head, and the ref saw it, and I went down a little bit, but I got right back up.
So what is the biggest difference about bare knuckle for you?
I've learned, though. So, like, when I fought Julian Lane, his little fucking head hurt my hands. Because a lot of the time with boxing gloves on, your hands are, like, open. Mm-hmm. And you try to close it at the right time. But, you know, if you do that bare knuckle, because you know how if you're squeezing your fist, it's a little harder to move. You're kind of tense. But in bare knuckle, you have to learn how to move while you're tense and keep your hands closed. Because with gloves, you can block a shot like this. But in bare knuckle, you gotta be closed up, tight, and squeezing your fist so hard so that when you hit them in the head, you don't destroy your hand.
Yeah, there's 3 levels of vulnerability. And the level number 1 is like you would see a lot of the glory guys. They keep their hands in a shell, like Alistair Overeem or like Badr Hari. Those guys would shell up. They shell up, but they have those big ass gloves. And you see that when they come to MMA, some of those shots sneak through.
Yes.
But then Bareknuckle it's another level of sneaking through. It's a totally different. It's really interesting to watch a really good fighter like Luke Rockhold, and you. And, Luke Rockhold is very skillful. He's a very skillful guy. And when you were putting it on him, I was like, this is a totally different thing. And you are, like, uniquely suited for this totally different thing.
Thank you.
It's different than regular boxing, man. And remember when Paulie Malignaggi fought Artem Lobov?
Mm-hmm. Well, Paulie, I mean, he's a scrawny dude.
Yeah.
And Lobov was just a little dog.
He's a dog.
Yeah. So
that dude's an animal.
It was a good fight, to be honest. But
Yeah.
the jabbing and moving that Paulie didn't work for him. And Luke, I don't know. That's kind of what we were talking about when you brought up Luke. I was talking about the tight fist and like how Bareknuckle is different. And it's like I figured out how to utilize the Bareknuckle. I mean, I knocked his teeth out. I hit him by the time I caught him, and then he was like, I'm not trying to get hit like that again. It was a matter of time. The gap was closing. It takes a second. He hit me, too, and I told him, I bet it. I haven't talked to him about it or asked him because I don't, he lost or whatever, so I don't talk to losers. But I try to do what winners do, man. I try to think about winners.